Hey everybody, this is a monumentous day in Kansas City with the UMKC Streetcar extension finally going live to the plaza at UMKC. And to celebrate, we are launching a series called Roos on the Route, which is highlighting UMKC alumni businesses along the streetcar line all the way from UMKC to the River Market. As you can see behind us, we are fully repping the Roos, and we're excited for Kansas City to get to know more about our business owners and to be more connected with everyone here. I'm here today with Emily Bordner, the owner and founder of EB&Co. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about the business and what you've built here. You've created an iconic Kansas City staple.
Oh,
I'd love
wow.
to know a little bit about your story and
Yeah.
what prompted you to create this brand.
Well, it started with leather bags and I couldn't find one, so I decided to make my own, and then it kind of grew from there. So we ended up incorporating jewelry for offering a lower price point, and then we just listened to what people wanted and what they wanted more of, and it just kind of evolved and introduced hair accessories, and that was a really big win. So yeah, it's been a really natural, organic growth, and it's felt really good and aligned, and I really tried to take it slow and be thoughtful and purposeful because I've also been growing a family, so
Yeah.
there's only so many things you can do at once.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about, your commitment to the local community. I think that there is, a shared ethos for a lot of Kansas Cityans where they love to celebrate their
Yeah.
hometown, but you all do it in a way that makes it fresh, new, right? It allows for different demographics to support Kansas City without having to be maybe, this traditional red garment.
Yeah.
Right? So tell me about how you all have approached your local partnerships and why that is so important to you and in your business.
Well, I think supporting small is so important. I mean, just to see like how the taxes are distributed, how much of the money we keep here. And I feel like Made in KC does a really good job of that too. They really kind of focus on like this is the amount of a percentage of a dollar that stays in the community. And we're not as high as they are because we don't only buy local, but you can kind of see that mirrored effect to where we, really try and keep it small. We support local nonprofits. We support a ton of schools, churches, anybody that really kind of asks for donations. We try to accommodate as much as we can. So I think that's really important. And then when it comes to the actual keeping it fresh stuff, I know that's important because, we have sold gold hoops forever, and so has everybody else, right? So it's like it's always great to have a classic. We're always going to. But what I learned was that people really got excited, really wanted to incorporate the brand more in their own stores or in their own collection when it was something fresh and new. And so that's something that we're challenging ourselves with every season. So we're discontinuing old items, we're introducing new items, new designs, fresh designs, and it's a lot of fun. And my husband told me to do this years ago, and I ignored him because I know better, of course. And then the first time I made a design, or Chiefs oriented, which was the 87 jersey, it landed on Taylor Swift. So he can't be too wrong, I guess, but don't tell him that.
Okay, we'll cut that out.
Yeah, don't tell.
Yeah. Well, I think, what's awesome is to see someone that's taking the thoughtful approach, right? A lot of times people are thinking that growth and that growth mindset has to be like tomorrow we're successful. And you've done a really great job at building from, humble beginnings in the Made in KC marketplace. Now you have multiple locations.
Yeah.
You're doing all these different collaborations and everything like that. So can you help kind of share your mentality when it comes to actually like building something special and important when it comes to a UMKC student who's trying to juggle school
Yeah.
and their passions and vision, and
Yeah.
they're thinking they're running out of time,
Right.
and I'm getting so much older.
Yeah.
But we want to show them that like taking the time and building
Yeah.
something really like that you're truly passionate about,
Right.
like you don't want to rush that.
Yeah.
So could you share some advice for UMKC students that are looking to actually build something of their own or go into their career and
Yeah.
talking about that mindfulness and taking the time to build something they care about?
Well, first off, I think it's important to acknowledge that like any learning experience, don't discount it. Every odd job I've had, I have used that knowledge and that skill set in what I do now. And I encourage everyone to be in the service industry at least once, like wait a table, serve coffee, like really get that basic salesmanship understanding. And it's not even just from like a sales point of view, but just from like a human dynamic point of view. You know what I mean? Like you need to be able to talk to people regardless of what you do. And most people are really losing that skill.
Yeah.
So I think being able to practice that and immediately learning like, okay, I didn't treat that table well, so my tip is less. You know what I mean? It's an immediate feedback system. So it's like one of those things that I think it's so important. And I had plenty of years serving, and I think it served me really well. And I don't want to say I can tell when people haven't, but I feel like it's a different vibe when you're like, you've been in it, you've done it, you've worked for your tips, you've worked for your money. And I think that really changes that perception of understanding how to interact with people, because that's so important, because people really value that in real life exchange and interaction. Because everything's so digital now, I think highlighting why it's so important in person is really, really valuable. And like I said, not very many people are doing that and making it as valuable as they once were. I think also just persistence, not giving up and trying a ton of stuff, like throwing stuff up against the wall, like not to flex, but like I was on How I Built This, and Tim Ferriss interviewed me, which was really cool. He's like one of my all-time idols. Like I love him. And he was like, I see a lot, or I throw a lot of stuff against the wall, and a lot of stuff doesn't stick. You know what I mean? But we're not posting about that. We're not posting about all the designs that don't work, that all the designs that failed and that people don't resonate with, right? Because not everything's going to be a success. And I think when people look on social media and they only see the wins, they immediately are like, oh my gosh, like I'm not good enough. My designs aren't good enough. I need to do this. I need to do that. And just feel totally overwhelmed to where they just stop, back away, and quit. And I think it's one of those things where it's like you really need to limit who you have in your circle, right? Like Brene Brown said, she only lets the amount of people that can fit on a Post-it she listens to. Anybody beyond that, she doesn't care what they think. Like my husband, my kids, my mom. Yeah. Like those are the people that I listen to. Those are the people that I value. I highly encourage coaches. I think everybody would benefit from having a coach. I have 2 right now, and they have been instrumental in any success that I've had. I also wrote a book, and I talked about that, which is available on Amazon. I think, there's so much stuff, but I think the important thing is don't let the glitter of a company that's exploded get you. Because I can tell you, I've seen behind the scenes of some of the most successful companies, and it's a facade. It's a full facade. You know what I mean? Like they don't have 2 nickels rubbed together. You know what I mean? Like it may look like this big boisterous success, but you don't know. You don't know. Like the next door neighbor, the diner next door could be making more than the ones with the biggest PR budget. You know what I mean? And you don't know. And I think just try to kind of stay grounded and really think about what is your passion and what is your purpose, because I feel like I've been at this long enough to acknowledge what I do well, and I want to own that, and everything else is just noise, because I can hire other people to do it. And I think that's really important. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs think about, I'm going to bootstrap and do this and this and this and this. And I think that's really important in the beginning, like to do as much as you can to learn how a website works. You know what I mean? Like you should know how to do that. But I think also at a certain point, if that's taking away time from your zone of genius where only you can do this thing, it's going to hurt you in the long run, and it's only going to prohibit you from doing more of that and being more successful with that skill set. Right now, I know that I'm overwhelmed, and I could be making more designs and selling more if I try to reduce the noise. And that's something that I actively try to practice, and it's still an everyday struggle. You know what I mean? So I think those are some things that stand out to me as the most important when it comes to, your inspiration, owning your skill set, and not letting the glitter of entrepreneurship get to you, because you have no idea what that's like. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Well, I thank you so much for that. And I think the last thing that we're kind of asking everyone is what, with the streetcar, what it really represents to everyone individually in terms of this new open gate for access, right? Accessibility. So when we talk about, people finding new opportunities for jobs or to create, like transit is a big piece of that. And so the UMKC Streetcar extension is now giving so many more Kansas Cityans that chance to see more of their city. So what does that mean to you, knowing that we're now including so many more people, that so many more people get to relish in the growth of our city because of the streetcar extension?
I'm pumped. I'm so excited. I think it's going to be huge for the plaza. I think it'll bring more locals here because of that accessibility. I think it's going to highlight local businesses, because I know that a lot of people want to support more local business. It's just the accessibility of getting here, and that, the construction has just been, long, and we're ready. Like we're so excited for the work, like the streets to be functional and everybody being able to come, and all the other changes coming to the plaza. It's going to be fabulous. So I'm so excited to be part of it, and we're pumped. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today, and we will see you all at the next stop. We're here today with Natalie from the World War I Museum. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about your role at the museum and all the things that you get to do here.
Yeah, so I am a specialist curator and I focus on the experiences of women, communities of color, indigenous peoples, and World War One. So in that role, I interpret the experiences and the impact of these various people groups, the impact that the war had on them, and really changed their lives.
Yeah, and so what about your work is the most meaningful? Because obviously you're highlighting some of the different struggles that have happened that maybe aren't majorly covered, but what's the most meaningful thing about it that you get to do in terms of unearthing that history, making sure people remember some of those things that maybe they weren't aware of before?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think in kind of any field, you get stuck in your day-to-day life and your daily tasks, and you forget that what you're doing is important and it matters. And so in my work, I'll be sitting at a computer all day doing research or something, and then I'll get called to give a tour. And as when I'm giving a tour and I see the sort of curiosity, the fascination, the excitement that people have, and I remember that, what I'm doing is important, and I'm telling stories that are often lesser known or have completely been marginalized. And so getting to share those stories with people, talk about the work that I do, it reinvigorates me and reminds me that it's important work.
Yeah, well, I think it's super incredible what you do. I myself am a history buff, and I know that growing up, it's hard to see kind of maybe what the career paths would be for a historian or someone that wanted to participate in the arts and cultures and humanities.
Yes.
So what would your advice be to a student at UMKC who has a passion for history and the humanities that would want to get into this space? Like what advice might you give for them, trying to come into this new space as a new professional?
Yeah. I think it can be really challenging, but what I would recommend is talk to your professors. I think when I was at UMKC and in my history program, I learned pretty quickly that your professors are some of your best, if not your best resources. Go to their office hours, ask them questions. They can connect you with people in the community who are already doing the work that you do. They can help you find internships. They're really excellent resources, and I believe that they're there to help you, and they just want to see you be proactive. So do that, be proactive.
Yeah, so with the streetcar expanding, obviously we're bringing a lot more Kansas Cityans around the city, which is going to bring new foot traffic into the museum. What are some of the coming exhibitions or special things that maybe are coming up in the next 6 months or a year that people can expect to see when they travel on the streetcar to come here?
Yeah. So actually in 2 weeks, we're debuting our exhibit on November 6th. It's called Paris at War. It explores the experiences of Parisians who were living in a city that was under siege right at the front. What's really interesting about this exhibit is it's one of the first that we've done that sort of immerses you into the time. So of course, we're not taking you back into Paris during 1914, but we do have architectural elements and design elements that make you feel like you're in the city during the war. So very excited about that. We have a few other exhibits that are opening in the spring. We haven't started promoting those, but stay tuned. You'll see announcements. We're actually rolling out quite a few exhibits in the next year. So a lot coming, a lot of exciting stuff happening here.
Awesome. So for the last question, we've been asking everyone, but I'd love to get your take and from your lens on it. Creating transit in a metropolitan area is very important for equity, for the marginalized communities, especially, and also just for anyone to get around. So maybe tell me what that means to you, knowing that more people from our city that maybe couldn't access this area that now can come to you and see this, all this history. What does that mean to you? What does that, how does that make you feel knowing that we're making, this movement in terms of accessibility and equity?
I mean, in general, I think the accessibility portion of this is incredible and it's important, and I'm so glad that we're doing it. Here at the Museum and Memorial, it allows us to reach a wider audience, I think, for people who maybe don't want to drive, or let's say the parking lot is already full. This is a chance to come to the museum and experience it if you haven't been able to do that yet, or you've been meaning to. Now you hop on the streetcar and you can get here pretty quick.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and appreciate you chatting with us today.
Absolutely.
We will see you all at the next stop. I am here with the one and only Vu Radley, one of the co-owners and co-founders of Made Mob. Thanks so much for joining us today, man.
My guy. Always good to see you, Weather.
Yeah, great to see you too. So many people know Made Mob, right? Because they have connected themselves to the cultural fabric of our city, and they have focused on building a brand that truly respects and honors our past, our present, and our future. So I'd love to learn a little bit from you about how did this all start? Many years ago, over 10 years ago now, you guys had an idea to create something visionary, and along the way, you've grown and changed and modified, but what was the inciting factor into building this company?
Man, we started back in 2012, so it's been a long time, man. We're just talking about how long that's been, but it was amazing. We started off as a peer passion project, a hobby. We wanted to build something that lasted longer than we would be here, right? So, streetwear was an outlet for us. So after I graduated from UMKC in 2012, we pursued that journey, meeting once a week, then twice a week, and then 3 times a week, and it becoming something that we steadily did just for the pure passion of building something, right? Being creative, being able to utilize our graphic skills and all of our other skill sets as a team to be able to capture something via the visual aspects of apparel, So UMKC was a huge starter of it all. Giving me the skill sets to be able to do the creative side, the apparel side of things. But after that, that was all a team journey. We all figured out how we wanted to create the brand, how the ethos behind it, the why. And it's built over the years, as the team grew, as being part of it. As the team grew, everybody who came into it left something with the company.
Yeah.
And so Made Mob nowadays is forever growing. We have, more people who are leaving cool things behind. Made Mob becoming past apparel brand and into more of like a community aspect side of things, a creative hub really, a space for other entrepreneurs and the youth to come and kind of see that people like them can create something. They can be those next generations of people just like us to be able to create something and leave something.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things that I absolutely loved about my time here was I could tell that, you guys were so authentic and there was so much care that went into the product. But one of the things that I also noticed very much so all the time, and I actually brought it as a lesson over to my other ventures, was how you all partnered and worked together with other people in the community. I remember when we were working on, the Gates barbecues and those drops back in 2017-ish, right? And I still remember the energy you all brought to the table when you wanted to work with a great brand, with a great history, but you wanted to give it a fresh take, a fresh appeal. And I think that's something you all have done so well, whether it's UMKC jackets, other branded materials. You're able to take a Kansas City icon and give it a new fresh take. So tell me about what has motivated you all to continue that community partnership bedrock and why you guys continue to invest so heavily in other partners and our community.
Oh man, community aspects, creative aspects, and of course collaboration is like the big 3 C's in Made Mob. So ever since we started, our first collaboration being with Gates Barbecue, that was just something that we wanted to continue to do. Creative side, it allowed us to jump outside the box. How do we make apparel for a restaurant? How do we make that streetwear? How do we make that dope? How do we make that fit Made Mob? Throughout that, it was a networking aspect, a relationship aspect. So meeting people organically, being like, we love what you do, showing that we're supporting other Kansas City businesses. Why not work together and build something out of the box, build something creative that gives just something special for us to work together on for a amount of time, whether that be one drop or a partnership, to be able to create something cool based off of both our businesses. Not only that, but it crosses our audiences. So It helps both companies as well as just leaving something cool. For us, we geek out on all this stuff, apparel, anything like that, but also pushing ourselves to take every collaboration a little bit differently. How do we do this collaboration? How do we make that different from the others? How do we show true authenticity for Made Mob as well as the other business? But that's such a keystone in what we do, is showcasing the handshake partnership of it all, between Kansas City businesses.
Yeah.
So starting off from small local mom and pops, shops, iconic Kansas City places, all the way up to, bigger corporate collaborations like the Chiefs, UMKC.
And you're in big
KC
box
Current.
stores like Shields.
Shields has been a great
Oakley.
box. Yeah, Oakley coming in. So I don't want to talk about all the collabs and then miss out on some, but we've done some really cool ones. And so it's just growing over time and allowing us to go from small to big and having fun with all of them, with all the criteria needed for each. It's continually showcasing that Made Mob is a part of the community, wanting to be a part of the community, wanting to showcase that we want to work with other brands. Not only that, but just showcasing overall how that's such important ethos to our business.
Yeah.
So that has kind of like helped build the why of Made Mob over the years. It's really about how do we grow Kansas City together.
Yeah, and you touched on something really important, which is representation, right?
Absolutely.
Building, you guys are, founders that have been able to create something special and new and unique and different, and you are able to be kind of an identifier for people that maybe look like you, are from the same region as you, to say, hey, I could do that. Yeah. So tell me about that and its connection and correlation to how the streetcar is now widening accessibility. So more kids from around the city can get here. Right? Because we know the transit for our east side kids and even some other areas of our city is hard. Yeah. And so giving this new expansion, more kids should be walking through your door here soon. Absolutely. So what does that mean to you, knowing that the UMKC Streetcar is going to start feeding you even more members of the community that you can help?
I love it. I think that's the whole idea of connection, right? The connection in the city with Made Mob. We connect with people to do collabs. Connection in the city, access to transportation is always such a huge thing. I grew up on the northeast side growing up, Columbus Park and then Northtown. And so getting down here was hard until I was a little bit older and had, means of transportation. I know whenever I was at UMKC, going to classes and then being able to walk to like Nelson Atkins, right? And then going in there sketching and doing my art stuff. Like if I had access to the streetcar to come down to downtown and meet the local business owners and really chop it up with them, it would have been so beautiful, especially with understanding the career path I wanted to go into with business and creative, right? Yeah. And so nowadays, I think that's such a huge thing to be able to give access to the east, west, north, south. To be able to come down to downtown. We're going to see a bigger group of people. We're going to see more youth. We're going to welcome them into our space. Our table is right out here on the retail floor. There's always a seat for somebody to come in and learn, take some gyms away. Of course, I tell everybody, we don't do it for you, but come sit down at our table, see how we work. A lot of the guys at the shop have found their space just from that, right? Yeah. Traveling down here, talking to us. Never stop and come in, and we have to find a space for them. Yeah. So we love kind of this new generation that we're working with, seeing the younger creative kids come in and really being amped and passionate about whatever their career path is like any little thing that we can get to that with our events, just some knowledge to throw back. Just letting them sit and be a part of the table is always so big, so access is such a big thing. Connection is such a big thing. And we're excited to see, all walks of life come on through the shop and just see what we're cooking up here. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Absolutely. Really appreciate you. This stop, we are here at Cafe Corazon, one of Kansas City's most beloved coffee shops. And we're here with Dulcinea. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here in
Awesome.
my spot.
I know.
Guys.
Well, it's awesome. The energy is so palpable.
Thank you.
And we really want to know, how did you create such an icon in the city in such a short amount of time? And how did you do it while also representing and really bringing your cultural history to the forefront? I think that's something that everyone's so excited to see, but how you did it is very exciting too. So tell me about how that was done.
Well, thank you, first off. Really, we wanted to come and be a misfit in the space. So we wanted to bring something unique, different that nobody else was doing. And what better to do than where coffee comes from, which is South America, which is my heritage. So we brought that here to KC because we wanted to show our ancestry, the things I grew up drinking with my grandma, things that made me feel warm and fuzzy inside, but then bring it to a larger scale, right? And have it be enjoyable. Not just even through drinks, but through food, through cocktails, through events. We wanted to really encompass and embody Latin heritage and indigenous heritage too.
Yeah, well, I think it's super important, and we've talked to a lot of different business owners, and one of the threads that we see in Kansas City is we have such a noticeable affinity towards our past and our history, right? And it's so important to remember our past and to make sure that we respect and honor the present, because we can't go forward without it. And so I think what's so amazing about this is that you guys have created one of the first of the kind of Latin American, Native American kind of icons of the city, and you've shown that it's possible to actually build something that no one else has built before. So when you think about UMKC students that are here at a school where there's a lot of international students, a lot of different people from a lot of different places, what advice would you give them to retain that authenticity, retain their culture as they move into the working world? What kind of advice could you give them to really understand how you did what you were able to do?
I would say nothing works unless you do it authentically as yourself. So if you're not true to yourself, it will eventually fall off. But if you are, you'll find your way much easier and faster because you're in line. Your energy's in line. you are. And I think it is cool to bring that family piece and the heritage piece into it, because a lot of people want to experience that, or they're curious, but they don't know how to, right? So when you open it and you welcome people in, they're really fond of it.
Yeah. So tell me, you guys have seen so much growth. You're expanding. You have locations in Westport, now in Brookside.
Yeah.
What can people expect from the Cafe Corazon family and brand over the coming years, whether it's at their new location or it's beyond? Because you have events, you have all these community events, charity things. Like, there's so much going on. So what's next for Cafe Corazon?
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked. So we actually now have a roasting facility in Kansas City, Kansas. So we have a bunch of products that are going out that are going to be throughout Kansas City, but also throughout the nation. So stay tuned, because KC will be growing substantially in the next 5 years.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Well, one of the last things that we've been talking to everybody about is, when we talk about growing a municipality, growing a city, connecting people, transit is at the core of that, right?
Yes.
And so with the UMKC Streetcar expansion, we are connecting communities that maybe have never been able to get to different parts of the city before.
Yep.
So what does this represent for you, knowing that now so many different people from Kansas City can come to Cafe Corazon, go to the plaza, come back? What does that represent in terms of a vibe and an energy?
Well, we're so excited for that. In fact, we'll actually be speaking about it with FIFA and the World Cup panel.
Oh,
So
yes.
we're happy. But we do have different stops, right? So our Crossroads location is a streetcar stop, and Brookside, just a couple blocks away,
Yeah.
is also from the streetcar.
Yeah.
So it'll be really cool to see people from all over the world coming into our shops. We're even going to hire out people who speak languages so that come in and they understand that this is a safe space.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for it.
His place is going to be, you're going to have Cafe Tone every day.
Exactly.
It's going to be lit. Well, thank you so much, and really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today. So thank you all so much. We will see you at the next stop.
Salud.
I'm here with Steve Rivera, owner of Tomstown Distillery, one of the most iconic brands in Kansas City. I'm just really excited to chat with you today, Steve.
Thanks so much. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, well, tell me a little bit about, you and what you built here at Tomstown. Tell me about the history and why you decided to create this brand.
So when we were kind of looking into some things, some business ideas, my business partner and I were looking at Kansas City history, and the story of Tom Pendergast sort of leapt out at us, of course. It's such a crazy story. And how the fact that this was the only city in America where there was no prohibition, because Tom made sure no one ever got convicted of violating prohibition. So we thought, what more natural way to tell that story than through liquor and booze, because that's really what inspired the heyday of Kansas City. The first heyday.
Yep.
I think we're in our second heyday now.
right, yeah.
With all the downtown revitalization, with the extended streetcar going all the way from UMKC all the way to River Market. It has a way of uniting the neighborhoods, I think, here. And by making kind of the iconic neighborhoods of Kansas City all on one streetcar track, that unites the city and makes it a cool place for visitors to come. They can hop on one mode of transportation and get to the coolest spots at Kansas City.
Yeah.
So our goal with creating Tomstown was really to do something a little bit different. So we come from outside of the liquor business and the hospitality business and manufacturing, and we had to kind of learn it all by doing it. But that allowed us to bring in some ideas that maybe other people hadn't done before. So we try to make our spirits a little more creative that way. And my experience at UMKC really allowed me to help tell the story of Tom Pendergast. I was an English major, got my master's in English at UMKC.
Awesome.
And by telling the Tomstown story and sort of adding a dramatic arc to a historical, real story, we're able to kind of get the story accessible to a new generation of people.
Yeah, no, that's great. And what do you think has been some of the driving factors in making Tomstown such a household name in the city? Because not only are you a hospitality destination, but you're also a beverage, icon, right? So,
Sure.
Anywhere you go in Kansas City, you can find some sort of Tomstown cocktail mix
Yeah.
up, right? And so you've created a retail, storefront that's a gem of the city, but you've also created product lines. So what do you
Right.
think was some of the movement behind that success?
I think this physical location helps tell the story. I mean, by coming in immediately, you're sort of transported to the era of the story we're trying to tell. But also, the menu tries to reflect the unique qualities of our spirits. In addition, we've been really really blessed to have an amazing supportive group of people who own restaurants, people who own bars, liquor store owners. The support has been amazing and continues to grow. And I think by us sort of aligning ourselves with the chiefs a few years back, that helped. And also we're doing a project with Hallmark, holiday bottles, stuff like that. So those alignments help get the word out too.
Yeah.
And we really feel like investing in the community is one of our strongest assets.
Yeah, well, I think that, it's very, inspiring what you guys have built, because I think that it shows the kind of the palpability and vitality of Kansas City as a history. We love to represent and support our city more than any other city I'm aware of in the States. But what's so amazing is, like you said, you brought this history of our city, you made it modern, and it's now a vehicle for, the future for Kansas City's brand. I think that's super inspiring. So
Right.
you also touched on the fact that you don't come from this background and
Right.
you created this. So could you kind of give some advice? If you're a UMKC student right now, you're coming into this new world of social media and small business,
Right.
like what advice would you give for people that are looking to create such an iconic brand or to create something new and visionary that may not have the resources or the experience to do so? Like what would be your first step in telling them what to do?
I think if we had solicited advice of people in the industry, they would have said, don't do it. Don't even attempt it. So don't listen to those people. Go with your gut. And really, if you can envision it, you're the best one to create it. So looking to other people to realize your vision doesn't really work. It's you've got to do it. You're the one who has a driving passion. So it's really just diving in and doing it. That's not to substitute for research and making sure you do all your due diligence, but by jumping in and making it happen, that really is the only way that it's going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the last questions that I ask everyone is, with the streetcar expanding, we're obviously, with public transit expanding, it's really important for metropolitan areas for so many reasons. But what does that represent to you, knowing that Kansas City is now becoming more connected? There's more accessibility. There's more opportunity for people from different parts of the city to see other parts of the city. What does that really represent for you, knowing that we're expanding on this transit and connecting more Kansas Cityans than ever before?
So my son just turned 21 the other day, so we came here for his first legal drink to Tomstown, and he was like, I want to live in a place where I can hop on a streetcar or walk to whatever I want to do. I think that momentum from the younger generations is what's going to transform downtown. We need more density down here. Everyone agrees, and more housing, and but by linking all these neighborhoods together and uniting them, that's what I found when we opened 10 years ago. Just the 1 mile each way streetcar that we had was amazing to unite these neighborhoods. And it's simple. You hop on, it's a way of making the city feel tighter and closer.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next stop.
Hello, Sam. I am Mark. I'm the managing partner, Social Apex. We are a marketing agency here in Kansas City. We do commercial production all the way down to social media production. We're brand amplifiers and storytellers, and that's what we do. We connect businesses to the modern consumer.
Awesome. So tell me, the ethos for UMKC is impacting the community. And I think that's something that, I carried over, and that was met with, very much so positive reaction from the rest of the group. And I know that our company has spent a lot of time and effort in giving back to the community, working with different brands, different businesses, whether they're UMKC adjacent or just doing great work in the city. So tell me a little bit about why you think that that's an important thing to keep investing in the place that you're from or where you're operating.
I think you said it. It's like investing in the place that you're from. I mean, we want to support the Kansas City ecosystem, whether it's startups or established businesses. We kind of have this mantra of do cool stuff with cool people. I think UMKC and Kansas City meet that kind of ethos. And us being in downtown, close to the streetcar, in the heart of things, as it were, kind of personifies that, I think. And then also just like connecting to the people, to your point, reinvesting back into the community, some of it through, philanthropic means, and some of it through just like helping people amplify the story that we think needs to get out beyond the walls or city limits of, Kansas City and the Midwest.
Yeah. So then, tell me a little bit about, like, obviously as a UMKC founder, I come, bringing a lot of, love for UMKC, but you and the team have gotten to see a good amount of like how much they have invested back into me, how much they've treated, our businesses with so much respect, and they just want to do amazing things. And they're always just so focused on like moving the ball forward for Kansas City. So from a third person perspective, what is it like, working with the UMKC founder, but also more importantly, like being involved in the UMKC ecosystem? Like, what has it been like as a founder working in that space?
Yeah, it's been great. I think Flywheel comes to mind. Like I see both UMKC and you and other folks that are alum kind of all reinvesting back, like giving back, supporting. And so that's been really exciting. And I think, personally from, spending a lot of time with you, seeing your passion and enthusiasm grow beyond, just what we're doing here at Social Apex and, kind of all these bi and trifurcations of things that you're interested in, supporting people that are going to UMKC, being involved, like, consulting. I think congratulations on being on the board now. So it's like, you're all in, dude, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, well, we're, we love to invest in people in our community, but we also love to invest in others that, show us respect and we are inspired by. And there's just something really beautiful about mutual benefit and doing things together, for a shared vision. And that's why I love UMKC so much, is there's so many unions for so many different small businesses to actually have an impact in their community, impacting UMKC, impacting their own business, and doing it at the same time. Like that's a very unique thing that a lot of cities may not have. So the last question that I'm asking everybody is, what does this expansion of the UMKC Streetcar mean to you when we talk about city and interurban activations and growing a metropolitan area? Public transit is one of the most important pieces. So now going all the way out to 47th to UMKC, we have this massive block spanning, streetcar. What does that mean to you when you think about like expansion, access, getting more people the chance to, participate in the Kansas City, vision?
I think it's connective tissue, right? Like it's interesting because we talk about as a marketing agency connecting to the modern consumer. I think the streetcar is this nice thread that runs through our connective tissue that, in a very literal sense goes to places that are easier to get to. And then also there's something kind of, in spirit of Kansas City to where it's like, hey, this is a commitment to growing. This is a commitment to the future. This is I think of it as like, hey, massive sports team, tech, like we've got a lot of things going for us, and that connective tissue to help kind of bring everyone together in these different really cool parts of our city is fantastic and is only a massive win for us and everyone that comes here. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us today, and we will see you at the next one. And I'm here today with James Maiden from McCown Gordon. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course.
So tell me a little bit about your role at McCown Gordon first to kick things off.
Yeah, so McCown Gordon is a general contractor serving most of the Midwest region. We have a lot of national projects, but myself particularly, I work on all of the internal comps. So my focus is making sure associates feel engaged, that they understand what's happening, and I get to throw a lot of fun events.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit how you integrate some of the things that you learned on your time in UMKC and your work here at McCown Gordon, whether that's, more of like the scholastic side or the relationship side, but maybe tell me a little bit about the pull through from UMKC to your professional career.
Yeah, well, I mean, just from the education side, right? I'm a MBA graduate, 2025 actually, and in the MBA program, you learn all the different aspects of running an organization, from accounting to leadership to process development. And I spend a lot of my time working with the leadership at the company. So I have to be able to have those conversations with the C-suite, understand what my CEO means when he just says EBITDA 18 times. So that's been a great one. But the school itself is so focused on relationships and interpersonal skills that comes into my everyday work when I'm working with associates, understanding what they need, and just building relationships across the organization.
Yeah, and so kind of touching into that a little bit more, why do you think that it's important for the alumni to be connected to the university after their, graduation? By the way, congratulations on the 25.
Thank you.
MBA is a big deal, but tell me a little bit about why you're giving back, why you're connecting back to U of KC. What makes it important in your eyes?
Yeah, so I mean, I actually graduated with my liberal arts degree in 2019, but I dropped out for a little bit. And it was UMKC. I went back to them and said, hey, I need a degree if I'm going to get anywhere in the world. And UMKC very quickly, the advisor said, that's okay. We'll get you set up. We'll get your degree. and they built a plan that would work for my schedule. And it was that willingness to help me that made me want to get back to the school. And UMKC is so rooted in Kansas City and the surrounding region that having that connection to the school is just beneficial to me, and it's beneficial to my company. That's why we're a big supporter of UMKC.
Yeah,
so you see what it's
absolutely.
doing for the region.
Yeah, I think UMKC is a great example of an organization that when you give to it, it gives back
Yep.
in tenfold, right? And so I love that we're, able to highlight and talk to different people in the community, because a lot of folks talk about UMKC, it's in the middle of the city, but it's not just the Kansas City school. It's something better and something different, and it brings a lot of value to the people and the network that we're able to build as alumni. So
Yep.
with that being said, what is like some of the things that you're most excited for that are happening at UMKC in the near future? Are there things that you're, most looking forward to? Are there, anything going on programmatically that you're, really interested in digging into?
Yeah, well, so I do sit on the UMKC Alumni Board. I'm the VP of Leadership with the governing board, and then I'm so lucky I get to lead the Gold group, Gold Alumni Group, which is graduates of the last decade.
Okay.
It's an awesome group dedicated to making sure that once someone graduates, they have a support system. They have that alumni network that's there to help them, whether it be to network, find new careers, gain skills. It's really important to us with Gold. And so I do know Gold has on November 12th, we're supporting the first gen Roos breakfast. As a first gen Roo myself, it means a lot to keep giving back to that group and what they're doing for first gen college students. And then on November 18th, we've got a professional development event that's fully virtual, so people can attend however they want. So we're excited for those two to come up. And then, I would always share that we're always looking for new people to get involved with Gold. It's a great way to not only develop leadership skills, but give back to the school and be involved in the community.
Awesome. Well, I think one last question that I'm asking everybody today is, with the streetcar expanding, what does it mean to you now that it can get to UMKC and all the way down here, but more in a kind of like a philosophical sense? Like, what does it mean to have this access to the city where people can start to travel more freely through the entire cityscape, all the way down to the River Market and Hub? What does that mean to you? What does that represent for you now that we're providing more access for transportation for more people to experience our city?
Yeah, Kansas City is growing so quickly, and it's growing, not just geographically, but the people in Kansas City are different. And I think the fact that the streetcar is building these connections, right? It goes back to building relationships, which has always been my key thing. We're building connections across the city. So if somebody wants to go to school full time, but pick up a career or a job into River Market, they can do that more easily, right? So there's the basics, but the streetcar is just a really good symbol of how UMKC and the city of Kansas City are dedicated to building relationships and connections across the city.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you joining us on this rainy day to celebrate the new streetcar expansion.